Welcome to Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin, and today I'll be discussing The Awful Truth from 1937, starring Cary Grant and Irene Dunne. Some essential movie details. Cary Grant thought that this film, The Awful Truth, would be a disaster. He felt that nothing was working, and he begged to be released from his contract to be in this movie. After a while, though, he was convinced to stay on, and it turned out to be a major success and helped pivot his career towards screwball comedies. He was known as more of a dramatic actor at this time. Another detail, Irene Dunne and Cary Grant were in two other films after this one as love interests, My Favorite Wife from 1940 and Penny Serenade from 1941. Alright, so now I'll get into my actual thoughts on the film itself. So the plot, I gave it a 5 out of 5. I loved it. I love the banter between Irene Dunne and Cary Grant. I love that writing that they did there. The dialogue was just hilarious. I love how petty he is and how childish he can be. It's hilarious seeing him being all explosive and crazy. And overall, I love the romance. It felt like a real relationship because they were bickering and fighting with each other, but like in a good way, not like really angry, of course. But it felt more realistic of a relationship, especially when you compare it with Irene Dunne and I don't remember his other name, but he was the more southern sounding guy, her other love interest. Their relationship seemed kind of fake because they were super lovey-dovey with each other and all that. But then Irene Dunne and Cary Grant, were still bickering even in the process of them being divorced. So yeah, I loved it. It was great. Yeah, great plot overall. All right, so my thoughts on the acting. I also gave that a 5 out of 5. I love Cary Grant. And I just love seeing the beginnings of the charm and humor he's known for. But in this film, for me, the real standout is Irene Dunne. I love the scene where she pretends to be his loud and crazy sister. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. The fact her costume is different, the fact that her whole demeanor is different. It's really, really funny. And just seeing Cary Grant being super uncomfortable with her, just is laugh out loud hilarious. So yeah, both of them were really good. But yeah, I think Irene Dunne is the real star in this film. Okay, in regards to the directing, I gave that a 5 out of 5 as well. I love the direction from Leo McCarey. He's the one who directed this film. He understands the comedic aspect really, really well, and especially with Cary Grant. Like I said earlier, he was a more dramatic actor at this time. So the fact he was able to get such a great comedic performance from Cary Grant, to me, really stands out how good of a director Leo McCarey was. And I never really heard of him before this film. But yeah, I think Leo McCarey was a great director. I need to check out more of his work if they're more like this. I really, really loved this movie. All right, in regards to cinematography and special effects, I gave that a 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was good. And I love the costume design in the film. Felt very aristocratic, but it was still hilarious seeing the actors, kind of act a little childish. They're supposed to be, proper and serious people, and the fact that they just are so immature and so petty just makes it even funnier. Very stark contrast. So I love that. And the camera work itself was fine. I liked the sets and how they were all set up and all of that. The only reason why I don't give it a 5 out of 5 is I felt kind of constrained because they only had 2 sets really in the whole film. That could have been a budget constraint, not really sure, but I wish they could have expanded a little bit more outside of the apartment. All right, in regards to the music, I gave that a 5 out of 5. I thought it was really good, really set the tone of the movie. And yeah, not much more to add to that. I just really liked it. I think it was really excellently executed for this movie. All right, so tallying that all up, that brings my Letterboxd score to a 4.9 out of 5, which I'm rounding to a 5 out of 5. So would I recommend this movie? Absolutely. I'd even put it up there with Bringing Up Baby and Arsenic and Old Lace just for how crazy Cary Grant is. Like I said, he and Irene Dunne were fantastic. This is a good introduction, I think, into Cary Grant as an actor. Because I think this movie is really what put him on the map. I mean, he'd been in movies for a while, but this movie, I think, really set him apart as a comedic actor as well. Just showing his range, So yeah, I would absolutely recommend it. And not just for people who are fans of Cary Grant, but just people in general. It's a hilarious movie, a great screwball comedy. All right. Well, those are my thoughts on The Awful Truth from 1937. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Really Old Movies, where I discuss details about the week's particular film. New podcast episodes are released Saturdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. All right, thank you so much. This has been Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin. Take care.